Hello, it's Frank Klesitz, the CEO of Viral Marketing, and welcome to our next database marketing hangout where we talk about how to get more business, more clients, more sales from your number one business asset, which is your database. It's all the names of all the people you know, all the people you've met, all your clients, past clients, there's influence, the people that you know who are not strangers. What are you doing to stay in touch with those people and work those people for business? And great hangout today with viral client Jerimiah Taylor. Jerimiah Taylor is a recruiter for Keller Williams, which is a national real estate franchise in Del Mar, California, just outside of San Diego. And at Keller Williams, instead of calling them recruiters, it's a team leader. So Jerimiah is a team leader for the office in Del Mar, and his job is to recruit agents to come work for the Keller Williams office there. So we're going to talk about how he's been recruiting agents and how he's growing his agent count in the office and how he's helping more people grow their lives and careers through real estate through Keller Williams, and how you could take some of those principles, which involve database marketing and podcasts and videos for your business. But on top of that, Jerimiah is not just a recruiter or a team leader for the Del Mar office. He also owns an entire real estate office in Tucson, Arizona that sells over 100 homes a year that he's completely exited. We talk to a few times a month or a few times a year, whatever it may be, that he runs entirely from Del Mar while he takes care of all his recruiting duties, which is absolutely incredible. And I thought it'd be great to interview him here today to learn more about how he has done all that so we can give some great information to the audience. And if you want more information about the marketing plan, the specific marketing plan that Jerimiah uses to build his database of agents, or in the case of his real estate business of buyers and sellers, how he communicates with them consistently to stay top of mind for expert positioning to, on the viral plan, go to thedatabasereset.com. It's an ebook I wrote. It's about 20 pages that goes through how to reconnect with your database with video and to work it for business. It's going to cover how he does all that, which is kind of the foundation that we're going to talk about today. So think of this hangout as a complement to reading that database reset, which will make much more sense of this hangout, or make this hangout make much more sense. And let's get started. And by the way, I have a little bit of a cold today, so if I move my microphone up and you see me do that, that mutes me, so you don't have to hear me coughing. All right. So Jerimiah, thank you so much for being on the hangout today, man. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Frank.
Cool. So why don't we start off with, you have a very interesting story of your Tucson business and how you ended up as a recruiter or as a team leader for the Keller Williams office in Del Mar. Can you tell us that story?
Sure. I started in the mortgage industry back in 2001 as a loan processor. Essentially, I would put the files together for our loan officers for submission. And what I found pretty quickly was that the people that made the most money were the salespeople. And so I became a loan officer in 2003, started to work to buy the company in 2004 and 5, and then even got my real estate license in 2004. And from 2004, when I got my license, to 2010, I owned and operated a mortgage company while selling real estate as well. And what was real clear to me was that most agents were not consistent in their lead generation, and they weren't real proactive in their lead follow-up. In fact, the reason I got my license was I was tired of handing buyer leads off to real estate agents that wouldn't go get them closed, and I figured I'll just get my license and sell them at night and on the weekends. My first year, I sold 27 homes. So kind of an interesting aside that consistency in lead generation is the name of the game, whether it's real estate or mortgage. Now, in 2010, we knew that we were going to be closing our mortgage company down. We looked at different options, and I explored all the big franchises because I knew that I needed training and support to replace the income that I was used to having from my mortgage company by only selling real estate. And that's when I found Keller Williams. And I specifically remember my interview with the Keller Williams team leader. He goes, "So Jerimiah, talk to me about what you do to connect with your past clients." And I said, "Well, why would I do that? They already bought and sold with me." And it was a real eye-opener for me that there were repeat referral and other opportunities that lied within my database. And in my first 3 months at the company, it took 8 listings just off of calling past clients. So it's been interesting. Now, fast forward to my second year at Keller Williams, I sell 117 houses, just over $500,000 in gross commission.
In year 2?
In year 2, and that's my second full year. My first year full-time as an agent, because in 2011, I still ran the mortgage company part-time. So my first year full-time as an agent, I sell over 100 homes, and I think, okay, geez, if I can sell 100 homes a year at $150,000 each in Tucson, why don't I go do that in San Diego where they're 500,000 each? So I started getting my license and got on the path to move out here in December or mid 2012. As I was getting my license and doing that, the team leader here of the Del Mar office was stepping down at the same time. And so it was just serendipitous timing that I was able to step into the team leader role. Now, what I didn't know that I do know now is that the top agents, what we refer to as mega agents, the rainmakers of teams, the agents that are doing hundreds and hundreds and thousands of transactions each and every year, year after year, what they have mastered is two things. One is lead generation. They generate more leads while they sleep than any other agent in their area possibly could. And two is they've mastered hiring and training talented people and holding them accountable to converting those leads. When you look at my real estate team in 2012, sure, we closed 117 transactions, and that's great, but the unimpressive part is that I had to go on 110 of those listing appointments. So there's not a lot of leverage there. So the real trick is in 2013, now I live in California, I can't go on the listing appointments, and we sold 84 homes. Now we went backwards by about 30%, but I didn't go on a single listing appointment, single buyer appointment. And it's because what I understood is I needed to replace my lead generation with marketing and advertising, and I needed to get in business with the right people that could convert leads and sell homes at a high level.
So Jeremiah, the first question I think that arises with someone that is at the peak of the rainmaker talent is now you have to advertise and you have to hire people. Mm-hmm. And the first question is, how do you stay profitable doing that?
So you can't have your cake and eat it too. There's always going to be a period of time where there's a transition that when you go from being a solo agent to bring on your first buyer's agent, your first admin, there are costs involved. Now, ideally, you want to have the business in place to support those new hires as you go. And so in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, Gary talks about it. It's admin first, buyers second, listings third. If you do that and you follow the economic principles and the split and compensation models that he talks about, it's fairly easy to stay profitable. Where most agents miss it is they say, okay, well, I'm going to just get a buyer's agent so I don't have to work with buyers, and I'm going to focus on listings. So they take half their business, they hand it to a buyer's agent, which in turn they take half their income and hand it to a buyer's agent, and they don't double their listing count with the extra time that they have. The agents that do it at a high level, when they get the buyer's agent, they go out and they take 3 to 4 times as many listings with all the newfound free time that they have. So you're not buying a vacation, you're buying an opportunity to spend your time on more dollar productive activities.
So when you left Tucson, how are you communicating with your database if you weren't even there and you're still the face of Tucson?
So that's honestly, for the first year, we really didn't. And again, serendipity struck and I met you. You and Scott needed a place to office. We had some space here in Del Mar. Yep. I found out what you guys did, and I said, gosh, that'd be great for our team. Up until we connected with you, it was very entrepreneurial. You know, we had the canned email blasts that went out. We had the, the generic kind of stuff. And then when I had time, I would try to call people. Now we use viral, and the video marketing messages we send out combined with Sly broadcast in a monthly print mailer, they really have moved the needle for us. And it allows me to do it with very little time involvement. And there's a high amount of leverage because we have over 17,000 in our database in Tucson.
How did you grow your database that large so quickly?
Internet lead generation. You know, we've sold over 1,000 homes there in Tucson. When I was doing mortgages, we were doing 100 to 300 mortgages a year for a decade. So we just have a huge database of people that have been in our network, and I've been pretty good about getting all those things put into at least a spreadsheet or a cell phone or something for the last 10, 12 years. So we just keep growing the list every week by at least 5 people.
Got it. So the majority of your leads are generated through internet advertising, which then someone calls and develops a relationship. And then they were brought into your database, and they get the 2 videos a month that you shoot from California, but you're selling them for Tucson. They go on your Tucson blog.
Yep.
I don't have the address in front of me. I'm sure someone could find it. Do you know what the address of your Tucson viral blog is?
Yeah, it's thetucsonhomefinder.com.
Cool. So you can check that out. So you're still visually having a presence there, but actually being there. And now you're moving on to recruiting for the office at KW. Let's talk about how you build a list of agents you want to meet. Let's talk about how you meet them. I'm sure not every agent you meet wants to change their whole life and move over and start selling real estate that very day. What are you doing to communicate with the agents after you first meet with them and onboarding them? I want to go through that process. So you start off as a team leader, you start off as a recruiter, you have to find agents that want to come work for you. How do you build the prospect list and get the word out to find people that want to come work at your office?
So step one, and I think often the most overlooked step is you got to have an office that everybody wants to be at. So the first thing that we did is I got real clear on who was here, who wasn't here, who needed to be here, and who needed not to be here. Once you get that figured out, you get the right staff in place. Now we're not necessarily recruiting, but more attracting the right agents. You see, I could walk into any market in the country, pick up the phone, call an agent, and just go, hey, my name is Jerimiah Taylor. I'm a top agent from Tucson, Arizona. Last year, my team sold over 100 houses, and I didn't go on a single listing appointment. I'd like to buy you lunch and just learn a little bit about your business and maybe share some things that I know. 999 out of 1,000 times, I'll get a lunch appointment with 1 or fewer objections. So the key now is asking questions, learning about them. And we don't want everybody. We only want the agents that are business-minded, growth-minded, want to grow their business, that align with our value propositions. You know, when an agent sits down with me and they ask, how many magazine ads are you going to run for me? That's like a red flag that says, I don't think this person gets it. Because business people look at things that have the highest ROI, that are trackable, that really lead to a result. And I think for so long, real estate agents have just focused on what makes them feel good, what makes them look good, how many bus benches can they be on.
Got it. So after you get the culture right, how do you build your list and how do you find the agents in the first place that you reach out to? Just the MLS? Is there a service?
Yeah, so there are a bunch of different services for that. I mean, every market has them. There's IMS, which is real estate statistics. There is Broker Metrics, Terradatum, the MLS. But undoubtedly, the best option is agent-to-agent referrals. You know, again, you make your office a place that nobody wants to leave and everybody wants to be, and your agents will be referring other agents just because they like being there, they want to work with you, they want to work at that office.
Got it. So you went to the existing agents in the office, built a relationship, and asked them for referrals to other agents. Maybe they were working with a transaction, maybe they knew, and they would bring them and introduce them to you.
Yeah.
Right.
And look, we're a team here, right? And so if you're on a team and your team sells 300 million, or if you're on a team and your team sells 1.3 billion, which one has more power when you're on a listing appointment? And so because so many agents, they look at growth of a market center or of their real estate office and they go, geez, man, are they ever going to stop hiring people? Well, no. Would you ever stop taking listings? I mean, if you knew how to and could take more listings to make more money and still give great service and help a lot of people, why wouldn't you do it? In fact, I think you owe it to yourself and your family to do it. And that's the same with our growth. And so a lot of times people ask, geez, Jeremiah, you guys have 420 agents there in the Del Mar office. What's the goal? Well, the goal is 100% market share. You know, until we have 18,000 and we sell all 40 billion that's here in San Diego, there's still more to get. And I want as big of a share as possible, because the more market share we have, the easier it makes every agent in our office's life.
Okay.
When they're transacting more real estate, when they go on that listing or buyer appointment, they've got more tools in their tool belt to work off of when they've got huge market share.
So so you reach out, you go on the lunch appointment. Then what? So it's very simple with the script is how to get the lunch appointment.
Yeah.
But then what? I mean, you probably have to have some way of following up with them. I mean, before viral, what was your follow-up process?
So before viral, what I would do is I used a tickler system. And I'd meet with an agent. I would come back, and I had their lead sheets, but I call it an agent information sheet. I'd write all my notes down, and then I'd file it on the day and the month that I wanted to call them back. And when I was really good, I would call them back within a couple days of that. Now, over time, what you end up with is a stack that looks like this. And the stack that looks like this ends up on the corner of the desk, and nobody calls them. Or you call 5 a day or 10 a day or 20 a day. So the magic of viral and having a consistent message that goes out via video is that I'm able to follow up with that entire stack using 2 videos a month, which is a personal touch. It lets them know, hey, I'm thinking about you. I'm sending you emails. I'm providing value here on the market. And then now not only, you still got to follow up. This isn't a magic pill. But now I can see who's engaging with those emails, and then I can strategically time my follow-up to best manage my time, and talk to the agents that are really engaged, that are listening to the message, that are thinking about growing.
So when you fill out the lead sheet, I would assume you had to get all those sheets into a computer so we can email them. What system do you use for your database?
So for now, we use a system called Recruiting Bridge. Recruiting Bridge was something that was engineered by a Keller Williams team leader. And I'll tell you, it's been invaluable for us because it systematizes lead follow-up, and it also solves the problem of communicating back to your agents whether or not you made the follow-up call, when's the last time you called them, because they have a login so they can see. Now the key is, as the team leader, I have to log in and use it and put all my notes in and use it just like you would any CRM. But it keeps me on top of it, and it sends me an email every morning that says, you have 22 people to follow up with today, and my job is to just stay on top of those follow-ups.
That's interesting. From what you said, is the software automatically so the agent refers you the person who should work there, and the agent wants to know what you're doing to follow up with their referral, and the software tells them that.
Yep, exactly.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it helps out quite a bit.
Well, it helps with probably getting more referrals if people trust you to follow up, right?
Exactly. Yeah, when you're following up, and it's interesting, it's amazing because the minute that I hit the joined button, I know within a day or two after that, I'm going to get a new referral from that agent, because the join button sends them this cascade of emails that are like balloons popping and fireworks going off saying, hey, congratulations, the agent you referred joined the company.
Yeah. So when you started, how many agents were in the office?
We had 165 on the roster.
So that's a good list to start with. Of the 165, how many were generally actually referring you?
Well, day one, none. There's about 6 that pretty quickly bought in. But it doesn't take a lot. It takes, if your top 10 agents love working with you and want to help you grow the business and believe that you're adding value to their business, they'll help add value to your business by referring other top agents. And a little known secret of the recruiting world is, an agent that sells 10 homes a year is never going to refer you an agent that sells 100 homes a year. But an agent that sells 100 homes a year may very well refer you 25 agents that sell 10 homes a year. And there's I think there's probably a production hierarchy that happens there. Where agents look at it and they see, this person is credible. They've done more than me. They are where I want to be, so they know that that's happening.
Fair enough. So you started at 160. Where are you at right now?
420.
That's incredible. Good job.
Thanks.
That's really good.
And the coolest part about it is up until just today, we haven't leased any new office space. So we've become very profitable.
Great. Okay. So how much of that growth would you say has been from direct agent referrals percentage-wise of that gap from 160 to 420? How much of that would you say percentage-wise comes from the agents in your office?
So 75%.
If there's any takeaway probably from this hangout, that's probably the big one.
Yeah.
And it's from the culture and from what you've built there, being the team leader. Okay.
Yeah, look, here's your goal as a team leader. Agents move. Get over it. you're going to have some agents that work in your office that are really great agents that you're scratching your head wondering, why did they go somewhere else? Well, the reason they went somewhere else is because you didn't do a good job engaging with them, helping them get what they want, helping them move their business forward. And it happens. Life happens. Things happen. So if we know that agents move and you got to just get over it, then my goal is to be one of the top 1 or 2 offices in the county where people know, if I want to grow my business, if I want a great environment, I go there. And so that's the reputation we've created, and that's what our marketing says. So now when an agent's going to leave Sotheby's and go to Keller Williams or leave another company, and they're going to, or let's just say they're looking to leave their company in general, all my goal is to be the person that gets the phone call that says, hey, I'm thinking about making a move. I'd like to come talk to you. And I think that's where we've been the most successful.
So you've been building your database of some incredibly great agents all through referral. Mm-hmm. So you're giving me the best list ever of referred agents to communicate with after you meet with them.
Yeah.
Whereas the majority of business comes in that way versus, just calling a bunch of cold call agents to come work for you. Right?
Yeah. And that's, to be honest, that's a grind. I mean, the first 6 months that I was in the team leader role, I made a lot of cold calls, and I was successful. I mean, my first month, I think I hired 10 agents. So I was successful doing it, but it's a grind. If I had to do that for 4 or 5 years, I think that's why a lot of team leaders or office managers flame out, because that's a grind, just calling all the time.
Yeah.
Now, you still got to call, but now they're not cold calls.
Correct. They're a little bit warmer, which is the idea behind the marketing. So let's talk about just the video and the social media, and you're doing a podcast and people are calling you from your podcast. So walk me through the thought process of, especially with a franchise model at KW that does not teach doing viral, of doing viral, of doing videos and this stuff, of this transition you made to just give us money, more or less. I want to hear why you did it.
Well, so number one is I knew there was a gap with my team. So it started with, I knew I needed to do this with my team. And I was going to spend that money either way. So I talked to my operating partner, and the great news is Chris is a mega agent too, and he recognizes the value of communicating with the database. And so for what you guys charge, we couldn't hire an employee to do what you do. And so, we said, all right, we're going to give it a couple months. We're going to see how this works, and we're going to just kind of go from there. Well, what's become really clear is that the videos over time just add velocity to everything else that we're doing. When we meet with agents, we run our own real estate school now too. We have 75 people in the real estate school. As a team leader, I love meeting new agents and people that are enthusiastic about getting into the business. But I also know out of those 75 people, only about 10 of them are ever actually going to sell a house. So I don't want to sit down one-on-one for an hour and a half with each of those 75 when only 10 out of that 75 are going to be salespeople. So viral allows us to stay in front of those people that we already have a relationship with and demonstrate the value so that the ones that are going to get into business, that are going to sell real estate, they know to call us.
Okay. Now, tell us about the content that you're sending out. So obviously we talked about how you're building your database, which is the first part of this. You have the real estate school that you're communicating with them. You have the referrals that agents are bringing in your way. And I would assume you probably have a target list of the agents you really want that you built that you're calling and meeting with. Yeah. Those are probably the main ways that you're getting appointments with the script you so greatly shared with us earlier about how you get an appointment 99% of the time, which is wonderful. So you bring them in your database, and then they go on the viral plan of 2 helpful videos a month. All right. Yeah. What do you send? Tell me about the topic. Tell me about the thoughts behind what are the 2 videos that all these agents, what are they actually going to watch?
So, it changes throughout the year, but pretty consistently I send market statistics. That's really every month they're getting at least one video that is, here's what's happening in the market. Here's what's happened in the last month. And if I'm talking to buyer or seller, this is how I'm preparing them for the market we're coming into. And a lot of times what the market is doing dictates the videos. So for example, we just did a video on rising interest rates. what most agents don't realize is that if interest rates go from 4 to 5%, that every home in your metroplex just went up by 10% in cost, but not in value. So let me do the math for you. In San Diego, the average single family home last month was $704,000. So mortgage rates went from 3.75 to 4.25. So you can't buy any more house. In fact, you lost about $50,000 in purchasing power in the last 30 days just because you didn't have a loan locked. And I don't know that most agents know how to explain it to clients that way, so that the client can get their head around it and go, holy cow, I just lost my annual salary in purchasing power because I waited a week. How much longer do I want to wait, or do I want to take action now?
That's incredible.
And that's what we teach the agents to do.
What are some other video topics that have worked well for you?
A lot of it is about building teams. Finding leverage and succeeding through others is not been the way that most real estate agents run their business. And so when I talk about building teams and the team structures and lead routing, and a lot of it is just short, 30 or 90-second tips about things that we do on my team, things that our top teams do here. Ways to find more listings, 10 reasons for your sellers to list during the holidays. Just things, so much of it is I say, oh, hey, we're doing this on my team in Tucson and it's working. I'm going to give this to all the agents that I'm helping. Or I'll find one of my agents that's doing something that's working fabulously, and I'll go, man, I should do that on my team, and I'm going to share that with everybody.
So what you're not doing is you're not just sending out videos of all the reasons why you should come work at Keller Williams.
No.
What you're sending out has actually nothing to do with that. It's all education-based of how to help them grow their business, if not coaching videos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think maybe twice in the last 2 years of doing this, we've sent out if you're thinking about making a move, call me video. The rest of them have all been content-based marketing.
Got it. So essentially, you're like the journalist of what's going on in the office. You're trying to take that culture and the people that you built there and tell stories about them to get out to the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So those videos go out. They go up on YouTube. They go up on your blog. They go everywhere online. They go out to your email database. How many agents would you say are on your actual email list now that are warm, people you've actually met? So I know we can email people from lists that we purchase because it's business to business, but let's talk about the people you've met. How big is that now after how many years? So how many years has it been since you started recruiting?
Well, so I've been a team leader for 3 years and a month.
So in 3 years, how big have you built your database through people you've actually met?
So people that I've met face-to-face is a little bit over 2,000 that I've actually had a recruiting appointment with in 3 years. And then in addition to that, you go to Caravan and I'll go MC our local broker pitch Caravan session. And there might be 100 agents there. I'll pick up their business cards and ask them, hey, I send out market tips for agents on how to do more business and sell more homes. It's nothing about Keller Williams. Would you be okay if I sent you those? They say yes. I send them to you guys and we add them. Total, we've got about 7,000 people in that list today.
That's incredible. So I think we have learned quite a bit about how you go about growing your database for agents for recruiting. Mm-hmm. You discussed a little bit about the ideal topics and your thought process behind what are the videos that you send out. Let's move a little bit further. Why don't you show us the stack for anyone just joining this of all of the lead sheets or the agent information sheets you have, Jeremiah?
Yeah.
So these are all the people you have to follow up with, right?
That's right there.
Hold on, hold it back up. The camera didn't change. One more time. There you go. All right. So those are all the people that you have to follow up with. And the challenge is that either just don't have the time or, well, you probably just don't have the time, but how in the world do you follow up with all those people? Well, what you're doing is when these videos go out, the people that are clicking on the links are actually engaging, they want to grow, and you're prioritizing your phone call follow-up to identify the most valuable ones in that stack of paper, more or less. So tell us more about how you use what's called the open and click report and how Virals help speeding things up velocity-wise more tangibly with identifying who to call and when.
Yeah, absolutely. So what happens is every time we send out a video, we get an open and click report. We see one, who opened the email, two is who watched the video, three is who clicked on links within the video. And so it really just tells us engagement. So the people that are watching the videos month after month or week after week after week, those are the ones that we're spending our time calling and connecting with and being engaged with.
Okay, good. Excuse me. Like I told you before, I have a little bit of cough here today.
Yeah.
So let's talk about people just magically finding you from your content. So you talked about the proactive ways of building your database and staying in touch with the people you've met, right? You had some people just have just discovered you and wanted to come work for you. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, that's been something that was interesting, that was unexpected. It was from the podcast. I didn't think, when you told me you were going to do a podcast, I didn't think that anybody really listened to those. But here lately, we get a call about once a week, at least once every other week, of somebody that emails or calls me, and they just say, "Hey, Jeremiah, I listened to your podcast. I'd love to come talk to you. I'm getting my real estate license, or I've been working at this company for a while, and I'm thinking about making a change. Can I come sit down with you?" Now, the interesting thing is some of those are not even in San Diego. They're in Clearwater, Florida, or somewhere else. So it's been an interesting thing to see the reach of a podcast.
Yeah, so I think someone can go to, thank you. Got some water here. Hang on. There we go. We'll cough it so much, hopefully. If someone goes to iTunes, and you type in San Diego real estate training, basically that's the idea behind your podcast. If someone goes to Google and they type in San Diego real estate training, feel free to do it. Something should show up, especially on iTunes. San Diego real estate training, San Diego real estate school, San Diego real estate certification, something like that. Yeah. People type that in because they want a trainer locally.
Yep.
That's how people find you, and people like their podcasts because it's a good way of delivering the video content. A podcast doesn't have to be audio. It could be video as well. So every time that blog post is updated, that video pushes to iTunes. Right?
Yep.
Cool. Any other strategies you can share about how video, social media marketing, content marketing has helped you move the needle more for your recruiting? Anything else that comes to mind you can share with the audience?
Probably the biggest one is this, is that when you are leading agents, they hear what you say, but they really see what you do. And so if you're being consistent in your messaging, staying in front of them, they see, wow, okay, this guy's consistent. He's on top of it. This is great information. I should be doing this to my database. And all the things we do with Viral simply role model the behaviors of a top agent for our agents so that they see what they should be doing to attract talent to their teams, to engage with their database and take their business to the next level.
From a recruiting standpoint, it sounds to me that recruiting is fairly simple. Get referrals from your agents in your office, build a prospect list, go on appointments, follow up with the people on appointments, and get them involved in the brokerage.
Yep.
You've had 2,000 people, 2,000 appointments going on over the past 3 years. That's insane. Now, the first thing that is an aha to anyone watching this, especially outside of the Keller Williams world, is that you are a dedicated full-time recruiter. You're not a broker that's also selling real estate that dabbles on some recruiting on the side. This is your full-time responsibility for the most part. Is that right?
Yeah. So the team leader's job is to run the franchise. And so ultimately I'm responsible for everything that happens in the franchise. But recruiting is how you keep your job. It's just like a listing agent, right? If you have 5 sellers all listed and none of them are happy with you, none of them are selling and nothing's happening, but then the next week you go out and you take 10 new well-priced saleable listings, you really don't have any problems. Well, as a team leader, if you've got financial issues, if you've got office space issues, if you've got training issues, if you've got any sort of issue, there's no issue you can't recruit your way out of. And I think agents miss that too, that there are no issues that you can't list your way out of. Because taking more listings or recruiting more agents creates more solutions. It doesn't create more problems.
Okay. So let's say that I was a broker at, I had my own team. I had a team. I'm like, I want to grow. I need to hire a dedicated recruiter.
Yeah.
You know, you have a very successful team in Tucson. You know, you're
Yeah.
paid very well. You know, I would assume you're very paid extremely well for your job, for the performance you're doing here. Is that the model for a broker or someone, is to recruit a top agent and have them be the recruiter? I mean, what advice could you give to me if I was just a broker or a team leader? I need to hire a recruiter. Where would I find that recruiter? Do they have to be a top agent that becomes a recruiter? Then can you give me some idea of how you'd structure their compensation? With like
Well, if you're going to hire somebody to run your brokerage, you want to hire somebody that's been successful as a real estate team leader. So there's a big jump that happens when you go from being an individual agent to running a team. In fact, I'm working on a book about this, and the best analogy I can give is the difference between being the quarterback and being the coach. Most agents never get out of the quarterback mentality where they're thinking, okay, I'm going to take the snap and I'm going to look for my receivers. If they're covered, I'm going to see if my fullback can take it. If he's covered, I'm just going to tuck and sneak and run this puppy. Well, when you're the coach, you don't have that option. At no point does the coach go out on the field, take the ball from the quarterback and say, get out of my way, I got this. Because that's not the coach's role. And that's what team leaders need to understand, is that when you hire an assistant and they completely botch something, you better not go back to them and say, get out of my way, let me fix this. You have to say to them, okay, how are you going to fix this? Because this is your job, not my job. And you got to think as though you're the coach, that you can never get on the field and take the ball back. So the reason that I say that is, when you hire an agent to run your brokerage, they can't think like a quarterback. Because if they think like a quarterback, that they're going to jump in and want to be hands-on solving every problem for every agent, they're never going to be able to really grow the brokerage. They got to think like a coach, teaching their agents how to succeed so that the agents can get their business to the highest level and grow wherever they want to grow.
So do you think maybe, I would think if I was going to hire a recruiter, maybe you find someone who's doing pretty well selling real estate, but is just kind of sick of selling real estate and really wants to be a coach?
Well, look,
I mean, where do you find a recruiter?
Here's the other side. So what you got to keep in mind, if I've done 2,000 recruiting appointments, hired 600 people, all while running a brokerage and a team, at some point you got to get some leverage on the recruiting. So when I started here, our front desk person that answered the phones and stocked the coffee was this extremely talented young lady. And over time, we just kept moving her through different opportunities to now she does 20 of those recruiting appointments every month and is hiring 4 to 5 agents. They're all new licensees, but she's doing those hires every month. So you want to hire 20 people a month, find 4 of her.
So you have a recruiting assistant.
Exactly. And
well, there you go.
There's no magic. It's just like a listing agent. How do you take more listings? Well, either you go take more listings or you hire somebody to go take more listings.
Well, let's just start there. So you have an assistant. So, okay, yeah. I'll still do the recruiting. I'll time block 3 hours a day to recruit with the same intensity I did to get listings if I had my own team. Yeah. Right? But maybe I'll find someone I can pay as my assistant. How would you recommend I compensate my recruiting assistant? Then maybe they can move into my full-time recruiter. Let's start there. What would you recommend for compensation structure for that?
So for that person, it'd be a small base that helps them meet their needs, so they're not showing up to work freaking out about, am I going to be able to pay my bills this month? But then their opportunity is all built into their results. And you want to make sure that their pay is directly commensurate to the quality of the agent that they're hiring. So if they're hiring a bunch of dead weight, they're probably not going to get paid. So the best way to do that is on the back end out of the commissions, and set to pay them some sort of a bonus based on
the commissions that come from the
commission. Now, ideally, what you do is over time, so now this person is really good and they're a key person that's helping to build your empire. A lot of times what we'll do then is bonus them on what we call the swing, which is the profitability swing year over year. So they would get a percentage commensurate to what they added of the profitability swing year over year. So as the business gets more and more and more profitable, they're able to earn more and more and more over time as they add more to it.
Got it. So you found your recruiting assistant for someone that worked at the front desk.
Yep.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So my next question would be is you're building this audience of lots of great agents at your office, great culture, great agents. You have people listening to your podcast, you have people opening your emails, you have trust and authority with an audience of agents. There's lots of other vendors or partners that want to align with you on that. Could you share with us maybe some general structure or something where how you work like a vendor agreement or how you involve vendors in your videos, or maybe how you plan to get your partners involved with this to help add value to everybody? What can you share on that?
Absolutely. So we skipped one thing that I'll just mention is you asked about how should somebody compensate a team leader, or how they typically compensate it.
Okay. Yes, let's go back to that. Thank you.
No different than a recruiting assistant. There's a small base that helps them meet their basic needs, and then all the opportunities in the upside. And you always want to pay your key people on profit so that they're focused on the same thing that helps you, which is profit. Because if you pay them on revenue, it's possible that they can make a lot of money and the business still lose. So you want to make sure that your key people are paid on profit so they're mindful of the money.
Got it.
So now to move to the next question about vendors. Vendors, I think, are an often overlooked source for agents of referrals and marketing dollars. Now, with all the changes that the CFPB has made, the days of give me $500 and I'll refer you my clients are long since gone. That just doesn't happen anymore. So now what it looks like is I'm going to send out a postcard to 500 people, and I'm going to take the front, you take the back, and we'll split the cost. That's really the best way for people to maximize that and stay within the guidelines of the law under the new CFPB guidelines, or under their rule, if you will.
So that's what we do with Viral. We have a relationship with Finance of America, which is a national. My lighting's off. There we go. How's that? Getting those bright windows out from the back of you. Where they have relationships in all 50 states. And if you work with them and you go talk to one of the local loan officers, they'll compensate half of your monthly Viral fee. So the monthly Viral fee now is $550 a month, and their loan officer will pay $275 of that. And all you have to do is maybe include your loan officer in one of your 2 videos a month, or at least if you can't include them, give them a shout out, like you would just read like a live read, like a radio personality before the start of your video to talk about your mortgage person. Then you go into your video. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you've included any of your vendors or sponsors in your videos, but if you were, how would you include them in your viral marketing, your video marketing, your social media, if you were to do that?
I think the probably very same way that you guys do. That you want your partners to always add value to the conversation. So I would be looking at bringing in vendors that would add value. In fact, I'd probably do some of the heavy lifting for some of the content that we need to create over time. To have a home inspector come talk about the 5 things that he looks for in a home inspection. Same with title, escrow. You can run the gamut. Have an appraiser. And just getting those things out there in front of your database and keeping it in front of them I could see how that would move the needle.
I think what we should do with you, and this is just off the top of my mind, is to create a section on your blog called the Mortgage Corner. Mm-hmm. And somehow get your mortgage person to make a monthly mortgage market update. Mm-hmm. Just go right down the left-hand side of your blog for every single month, and we include those in your emails that go to your list. So just throwing that out there.
I like it. I think that's a great idea. I'm going to email her now and let her know.
Yeah, just send me the video. You don't do anything. Just send me the video.
Yeah, I like
it. The next thing, and this is something that we do at Viral Marketing. I don't know if we've been doing it to the level that we should be with you, but a part of your fee and a part of the core system is that we want to gather a success story for you every week. Mm-hmm. Built into your fee, you pay for this, is we will actually call and reach out to in the real estate business as your buyers and sellers right around the closing. We'll get them on the phone. We'll ask them a few questions as your concierge to get a recorded audio testimonial. We'll transcribe it, put it on your website. So with the 1 year you're working with us, I like to add 50, 52, whatever testimonials to your website. All right. So if you go to our website, getviral.com, you scroll down, there's just a ridiculous number of success stories down the right-hand side. And that's something we've always wanted, is you have all your great educational content on the left, and then we have all these success stories content on the left and success stories down on the right. Have we done that at all? I don't know if we've done that, Jeremiah.
We've done a couple. We haven't done a lot.
We've done a lot.
We should be doing that, though.
Well, let me ask you this, though. What are you doing? What have you done? Or what do you plan to do with sharing more of the agent's success with content? Just give us some insight.
That's a great question that you ask. And in fact, you and I were just talking about this before the call, is that, we're attracting so many great agents, and yet because Keller Williams as a franchise spends no money marketing and advertising, a lot of people have no idea how successful we truly are. And if they did know, it would make our business easier. It would make it easier to recruit, easier to grow, everything else. And so getting that message out there and sharing the success of some of our agents, doing the hangouts with you guys, bringing agents into those videos, those are all things that we've got to start doing here in the next couple months so that we can build off of our success.
Okay. So we're going to do more success stories with the agents in your office. And one of the last steps, so we went through a lot of the core key pieces of the whole picture today. We talked so far about building your database. We talked about the educational content you saw to your database, both in your real estate business and your brokerage or market center. Market center is the word we want to use.
Yeah.
We talked about sponsors. We talked about calling and following up with the people that watch the videos. We talked about success stories. The very last piece, and this is why I say this for last, and it is the last, is maybe playing with a little bit of advertising. So one of the cool things that you could do now on Facebook as well as YouTube is you could take an email list, let's say of a couple 100,000, whatever it is, an email list to say the 2,000 agents you met with. Or let's say, here's a list I've purchased of emails of all the agents I want to come work for us. You could take those emails, upload them to Facebook, upload them to YouTube. It'll match those emails to Facebook accounts that people use and YouTube accounts, and you can actually run ads to those people with the success stories and your coaching videos so people know who you are. So at least when you call them, they have some idea of who you are when you exist. I mean, you might get lucky out and they might contact you. I wouldn't expect that, but at least they know who you are when you call. So what are some of your ideas with advertising, of playing around with that, and what you think the possibility is there?
Well, I just saw a great one. Jeff Quinton, I just saw that he left Prudential and went to Keller Williams. And all over Facebook, they posted they had a kind of like a chalkboard sketch that said, the Jeff Quinton home selling team, or whatever he calls his team, formerly of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, is now the Jeff Quinton home selling team at Keller Williams. It was very tasteful. You take a message like that and you hit that over and over and over to the agents at that company that you're wanting to recruit from. And at some point they go, geez, there's good agents making moves to this company. Maybe I should see what's happening. Yeah,
because you could take, this is where it's kind of how far we can go with this, but if you got all the emails of this brokerage, you can start marketing through custom audiences, all the agents you're taking from that brokerage over to you with success stories. So you have to kind of be how far you want to go with that, but the technology exists to do that very inexpensively. I mean, if you give me a list of a couple hundred agents, I could probably be on their news feeds and show up in their YouTube for like $1 or $2 a day.
Yeah.
Which is huge to help back up any phone calls that are being made.
Yeah, and I want to work with you to kind of do a trial run of that and see how it works and just kind of get the feedback, because I don't, you're always, with things like that, you're always kind of walking a fine line, right? Do you offend the people that you're showing that message to, or do they get excited by it? And I think so much of that comes with the messaging, which is what
the success story would be this person left is on the far of the gray area, where we could be very confident in just the coaching video tips, the helpful stuff. So it all goes back to the messaging, you're right, 100%. So we had about 10 minutes left here. We had a good number of people here on the Hangout. There's a Q&A box. So on the right-hand side, you're going to see, you can feel free to ask a question. If you have a question for Jeremiah, please go ahead and type it in. There's a little bit of delay, so we'll have to wait here, Jeremiah, but hopefully we get some questions here. I'd be happy to offer them to Jeremiah and get some answers. But I think we really covered the full gamut of everything. I mean, is there anything as we wait for some questions to come in any other tips that you could share with somebody who wants to grow their business, not for the real estate team, and also for recruiting based upon all the knowledge you've gained from 2,000 recruiting appointments in 3 years, which is incredible. That has to be a record. I mean, do you know of other team leaders doing that many? Or other recruiters?
Oh, yeah. There's people that do more than I do.
That's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do people have more assistants than one assistant? I mean,
oh yeah. There's people that have 3 and 4 people doing the recruiting that are doing, 900 appointments a year.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah, and that's the next level for us, is to find that the next person that can add some more velocity to helping us fill in our middle tier.
Well, it just goes back from the real estate team. I mean, you need to spend marketing dollars and you need to hire people to do work.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with your recruiting. You've maxed out what you can do, and it's time for some marketing to support that, and more people as the assistants to make the calls to bring on the newer agents.
Yeah.
So, yep, we got a question that came in.
So Haro asked, how are you using Slydial? So Haro, we don't use Slydial, we use Sly Broadcast. So the difference is Slydial dials one number at a time, Sly Broadcast dials, I don't know that there is a limit to it. But I use that for my database marketing touches. So when we're doing our team marketing, what we'll do is, in fact, I just recorded one earlier today, and I said, hey, it's Jerimiah Taylor here at Keller Williams. I just wanted to check in with you. I know it's been a little bit since we talked. 2015 was a killer year for us. We helped over 100 families buy and sell real estate. And in 2016, our goal is to double that. And so we're really counting on your support and your help this year to get to that goal of 200 families in new homes before the end of 2016. So I just want to drop a quick message and ask, who do you know that we should be talking to about buying or selling real estate? I trust you're doing so well. If there's anything we can do to add value to you, your family, or your business, please call me and I lift my number. We drop that message on all 17,000 people in our database, and we do 3 to 4 messages. So, when Gary talks about the 33 touch, he says it should be a minimum of 4 phone calls. What we do is we drop at least 4 voicemails a year, because I'm not calling through that database. And then Sly Broadcast outputs a message or a list at the end, tells you here's all the messages that dropped, and here's a list of the ones that missed. And we have our ISA call behind them. And she basically uses the same script, says, hey, Jeremiah asked me to reach out. He knows it's been a while since he's in touch. She uses essentially the same verbiage.
That's great. So the ones that don't go through, you have a prospecting assistant call and follow up with.
Yeah, exactly.
If there's any other questions, please ask them now. But, with that, Jeremiah, any other tips? One last tip we can provide the audience, and then we'll break for our hangout.
Yeah, so here's the one that has been a game changer for us in our business. And I heard this from Ben Kinney. So I was sitting in a class with Ben, and Ben goes, when the day that I had the realization that it took me approximately the same amount of time to find a new listing as it did to find a really talented person for my team. And a new listing will pay me between $7,000 and $14,000 one time. And a really talented person on my team could pay me $100,000 a year, year after year after year. I quickly saw where I should be spending my time. And as an agent, your goal is to figure out how to sell 3 houses a month as fast as possible so that you can get an assistant and start to build leverage. And then from there on out, it's just getting in business with the right people.
That's a great way of looking at it. I love it. One last question for Haro. What CRM, again, are you using for your recruiting leads?
Recruiting Bridge.
Great. All right. So everyone, thank you so much for coming to the Hangout. This will be here available for the replay. You can watch the whole thing there. If you're interested in visiting a little more about how Viral can help you and what that looks like, go to our website. All the information is there. GetViral, VYRAL.com. All right. And then you can download the database reset, which is the marketing plan I talked about at the very beginning that Jeremiah uses to stay in touch with his database with the 2 videos a month. And you can also request a strategy session with us. We'll talk about the results you expect, tell us about your database. We'll talk about some coaching video tips, show you some examples, and see if something like this works for you. But with that, I'll let you go, Jeremiah. Thank you guys so much for attending.
All right. Thanks, Frank. Take it easy. Bye, everybody.